Hostile architecture refers to structures that are attached to or installed in spaces of public use in order to render them unusable in certain ways or by certain groups. One purpose of such architecture, found in things such as bench dividers, ground studs in doorways, and sloped entranceways, is to control behaviour in space such that homeless people simply cannot do what they must do in order to survive, or even exist within the public space. Hostile architecture is designed in such a way that their coercive functions remain hidden within other, more socially palatable ones, such as artistically sculpted, uneven bench block surfaces. This militarisation of the urban spaces of cities through explicit fortification commits a visible act of violence against vulnerable and marginalised population. The origins of hostile architecture root from existing forms of social control already in place. One example Petty 2016 gives is UV lights in public bathrooms to prevent intravenous drug use. This particular example can also be found in the toilets of Stokes Croft's canteen in Hamilton House. The shift from social control to hostile architecture, however, has gone from subtly uncomfortable to outright aggressive. The concept as a whole has been a product of a neoliberalistic outlook and the seductive city's double, the revanchist city. The revanchist city intentionally designs out certain identities, behaviours, and categories of people from urban and public spaces by redefining what acceptable behaviour in public space, in effect, annihilating the spaces in which the homeless must live. One of the reasoning factors for this is rooted in the neoliberalistic outlook that such use of public space is not profitable and thus undesirable. Rather than aiming to solve the homelessness crisis, however, the use of hostile architecture is used to remove such behaviour from the public eye. For example, spikes that are installed in entranceways seek neither to resolve the problem of homelessness nor to punish it, but instead seeks to remove it from sight. Much of this is done with the desire to cleanse and reclaim urban frontiers via civilising gentrification projects. As with the majority of major cities now, several examples of such architecture can be found in Bristol. Within the space of a 10-minute stretch along Park Street leading up to White Ladies Road, I came across 3 instances of such architecture. The first instance of this is a sloping shopfront entrances. The small amount of undercover space at the front of these shops is designed so that anyone wishing to sleep under the small amount of shelter would simply roll back onto the pavement subject to the elements. In instances such as this, there is no reason other than being a deterrent for disfavourable behaviour. Although seemingly posing as a ramp for wheelchairs or pushchairs, all shops along this row were able to be built on a level to the ground with a flat entranceway for accessibility if this was the desired outcome. A more specific example is the Cahart store, where the building is specifically designed for aesthetic purpose alone to have an enclosed and undercover entranceway. Shutters have been placed at the store edge perimeter to close off this unused walkway outside retail hours. Initially, this can be seen as a security measure to prevent break-ins. However, these shutters are not present on the front-facing windows to the shop, which could easily be broken should security be something the store has issues with. Therefore, it can be seen again that these shutters are specifically to prevent homeless persons from sleeping within this space. A third example I found was the road blockade on Queen's Road, where 2 large blocks were placed hidden by a garden waste bag full of flowers on the high street opposing side. These blocks are a prime example of the war on sitting, where the top surfaces are covered in smaller blocks to prevent them from being used as a rest stop or bench. This combination of aggressive hostility masked by foliage supports Petty's 2016 claim that the coercive functions of such architecture are presented to be more socially palatable. Hostile architecture is a relatively small physical element to a larger issue of the inequality gap, and serves as an unjustified form of violence against an already vulnerable population. Even if we disregard that as an issue, the use of hostile architecture appears to bring more problems than it solves. Sterolius, 2020, claims that such designs have created a more sterile type of public space, where physical divides create more limitations than opportunities. This further marginalisation of the homeless population decreases the extent of marginalised spaces and makes everyday surviving strategies uncertain. And in places where survival hinges on accessibility and livability in public spaces, this poses an even greater threat to the lives of the homeless population, especially within central cities. Rusenko 2020 suggests that it's been historically proven such approaches do not solve the issue of homelessness, and that this can only be done by an undoing of the fundamentally hierarchical, patriarchal, and anti-democratic imperial formations, delegitimizing unsheltered existence itself. Such architecture, however, is arguably designed not to solve the root of the problem, but to remove said problem from the public eye in the name of profitability and desirable social activity of the space. Such class-based exclusion leads to reproduction of inequality not only locally, but also on a macro-social level, resulting in the widening gap within the society.